Vibes matter and emotions are contagious. So I know that's a fact to me. That's a truth to me that everybody I come in contact with or I'm going to be around, I'm going to elevate. It's a fact. They can't not because it's my intention. And then my intention is what I pay attention to, things that validates it, which creates existence. So I know that's the case. I also know that I can bring people down if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I've been there in the past where I've been that kind of person. You walk in a room and it's like the thermostat, right? It's a part of it. And then have I always been like this? I've always been contagious. I haven't always been the best person.
Welcome, badass entrepreneurs. It's time to hear the world's movers, shakers, and difference makers spill their secrets for unlimited success. So strap in, for Badass Entrepreneurs Only begins now. Welcome, badass entrepreneurs, to For Badass Entrepreneurs Only, the #1 podcast for badass entrepreneurs. Now, if you have to ask yourself, what's a badass entrepreneur? Clearly, you aren't one. We're here to face the fire. We're here to jump in. We're here to challenge ourselves and love the feeling of fear, because on the other side of fear is always everything that you want. And I am so pleased to introduce my guest today. Mike CRoc, also known as CRoc, is a serial badass entrepreneur. As the founder of That One brand and agency, he's demonstrated a unique knack for launching and scaling successful enterprises. Mike is the author of the book Rocket Fuel, Converting Setbacks, Becoming Unstoppable, and is the host of the podcast, What Are You Made Of? Acknowledged by Yahoo Finance as one of the top business leaders to follow. He is a testament to motivating individuals to break free from mediocrity. CRoc, welcome to For Badass Entrepreneurs Only.
What's happening, Dan? How you doing, man?
So happy that you're here. Is it okay if we just sort of jump right into the middle?
This is your show, bro. I'm here for the show, man. Let's do it.
Let's talk about breaking free from mediocrity. All right. Let's first start with, why do you think it is that people succumb to mediocrity and why they can't break out of it?
I mean, I think it's like standing out feels dangerous. It feels exposing. It feels naked. And a lot of people aren't expeditionists. So it feels unsafe, right? And I think that until you actually step out there and then you realize that people's eyeballs on you, attention is a good thing versus a bad thing. And let's say things that are, discouraging or hating on you, or even people closest to you throw digs at you for stepping out or standing out. Once you realize that that's harmless and it's really just them talking about themselves, you realize attention is a good thing, then you'll see people starting to extrovert more.
And it's really interesting that you say that, because, when people judge you and, the further out there you get, the more judged you get, right? And so that kind of negative attention is actually an indication that you're making an impact. Would you agree with that?
I would say that not necessarily making an impact, but making strides to getting known, right? The more eyeballs that are on you. And if you remember that it's just people, like when we talk about judging, it's people judging themselves to what you're doing. And based on what the dreams that they had and the goals that they had, they just get confused and they start to portray it upon you, but it's really them. And the fact that they're confused, the fact that they gave up on their goals, they gave up on their dreams. You're doing something that they wish they could have been doing, but they can't see themselves doing. Once you start to realize that, you start to feel bad for people sometimes. You're like, man, and you get excited because you're onto something. You're making strides. Yeah.
And when you talk about helping people break free from mediocrity, I don't know anybody who would say, yeah, I'm mediocre, or I'm living a mediocre life. How would you define mediocrity?
Well, first of all, people, they don't have to admit it out loud. They know deep down, and subconsciously they know it. And that's why people have problems with anxiety and depression a lot of times. There's obviously some different things, medical depression and anxiety, but for the most part, they have to do with your subconscious, not your subconscious knowing that you're not fulfilling your destiny, fulfilling your purpose. So mediocrity to me is, being in a certain point X, and you could be at Y and you're not making any progress towards it. And that's mediocrity. If you're not moving towards your potential where you could be, that's mediocrity. And so when I wake up in the morning, Dan, I have an obsession with striving to get everything I can out of myself. I want to see how far I can take this thing. I say that a lot. And so I'm a believer in God, and I'm very blessed and thankful for everything that God's given me and the ability to lead people, to make impact. And I just don't think it would be the right thing to do not to strive and get everything out of what he gave me. It's my thoughts.
Why do you suppose people who recognize that they can be greater than who they are don't do it?
Because they get things mixed up. They think they need to know how. And then, but most people don't know how. So they think they need to know how. So I'll tell you a story real quick. Let me put a story to this. So I was in the mortgage industry for 20 years, mortgage and real estate. Worked with some of my best friends I grew up with. We built this company to hundreds of employees that came through working with us over the years. We were doing eight figures consistently and in annual revenue. And so we were coming home though, like unfulfilled a lot of times, especially me. I was unfulfilled and I just felt like something was off. Now I had a nice house. I've been married 20 years, beautiful wife, 2 healthy kids, house on the water, everything that thought I was supposed to do. And that's where the conflict came in. I felt like I was doing everything I was supposed to do, but I wasn't fulfilled. Something was missing. Something inside was telling me something wasn't right. And what the deal was is that I was not playing a big enough game for my abilities and what I've been blessed with. And so I started to realize that after I started peeling back layers, finding out who I truly am. And I think, Dan, a lot of us identify with what we do versus who we actually are. And then when we do that, if the business, let's say I identify as the business guy that I was running, that business, the mortgage business. When the business is up here, I'm up here. When the business is down here, I'm down here. And the rates and the economy affect all that. And that leads into an effect versus being in control as a cause. I don't know about you, I'd rather be the puppet master than a puppet. Mm-hmm. So when I started to realize this, I said, you know what, this is mediocrity. I'm settling and being a cause. I'm sorry, at effect. I'm being an effect of the economy. I'm being an effect of other people's decisions. And I don't want to live that life anymore. It's not a good life to live. And life is too short.
I just need to jump in here because I really appreciate this thread that you're on, which is that most people who are struggling, if they looked at that life that you were living, they'd say, oh, you made it, right? You're there. And the thing that most people don't realize is there isn't really any there, right? This thing that you think, this place that you think you can get to doesn't actually exist because you had all those trappings. And you probably thought, once I get there, everything will just fall in line. And I think it's really beautiful that you had the consciousness to say, wait a second, something's up, right? Something just isn't quite fitting. And rather than like looking for a hobby or, messing around on your family, like doing the things that people do to feel better, you actually went into the thing that was supposed to be your success and said, let me take a deeper look at this. So what was that like for you? What did you do?
Well, I started to assess, like trying to find out who I am. And what that leads to is what really identifying your core values and what you're willing to put up with and standards that you're non-negotiables. Mm-hmm. And it allows you to establish a mission. And then when you have those values in that mission, which my mission is that all people are unstoppable to live the life of their dreams. And I want to make sure everybody's aware of that. So everything I do, I align with that, whether it's my hobbies, my family, friends, my businesses, I align everything with the mission and core values, which I have 6 core values that I follow. Now, what that does for me, Dan, is that allows me to make decisions very easily and quickly because it either goes towards my mission and my values or it goes away. It's either building towards them or destroying. It's a binary decision one way or the other. So it eliminates chaos and confusion for me to make decisions because it's either one way or the other. That's it. So once I started to do that, then I started running all the stuff in my life through those values and the mission, which was my thoughts, my words, my actions and behaviors. And more importantly, probably than anything besides thought, is the people that are in your environment that are around you on a consistent basis. And if those things did not align, I had to get rid of them. I talk about this a lot where you have assets and liabilities in your life, not financial necessarily, but assets are things that pay you. And they're valuable, and liabilities are things that cost you. Well, you establish assets and liabilities through assessing your thoughts. What thoughts am I having that are liabilities to me? What words, what am I saying that are liabilities to me?
And that jumps into something that you're really great at, which is helping people with their mindset, right? So somebody identifies, okay, I'm having some thinking that isn't moving me forward. What is it like that you did for yourself first to change your mindset?
Well, I mean, I get really clear on what I want. Like in this life that we're living here, it's so short. I got really clear on the fact that I want a certain life. Yeah. I want to be doing a certain thing. I want to be around certain people and I want to do it when I want to do it. I got really clear on it. And when I started establishing that clarity and that vision, that allowed me to tap that into my decision making, my thoughts, my words, my actions, and the people I keep around me.
And what were your internal pushback?
You know, I think the eternal pushbacks would, I mean, mine particularly were familiarity. You know, you have people in your environment that you've been around for 30 years, in some cases. Some are family, some are friends, some are employees. There's money tied to some of the people, and sometimes you have to terminate relationships to advance, because one thing you people don't realize is a lot of times it's not just you and your advancement that's being hampered. Because some people could say, well, I'm good. I don't want to confront that right now. And I'm good where I am. But it's also, you're holding other people back. When they're around you and they're not able to make the decision to cut ties, to advance or what have you, you're also holding them back as well. That goes for friends, family, employees. It goes for all that, customer. So for me, the pushback was familiarity, and also, you know, being willing to confront things, confront people, confront issues in my life. And making that just known what the deal is. Like, put my stake in the ground. Here's my non-negotiables. This is where I'm moving towards. This is the life that I want for me and my family. And if you're in the way of that, or you're causing it, the chances are I'm in the way of yours. And so those are the kind of things that came up for me. But once I started making moves and then constantly assessing things in my life, asset, liability, adding to assets, removing liabilities, then all of a sudden things started to change and shift. And I wake up in the morning now fulfilled and excited about my day.
Okay. And when someone is making those shifts, right, they look at familiarity, which is huge. You know, biologically, we are geared to do the things that we know how to do and not do new things, right? So you decide, I want to make a big shift. There's, you know, you're putting a lot of money at stake, your livelihood, the way that you do life. So there's a certain amount of uncertainty that would come rushing in. How did you manage that?
So, I mean, I look at this like uncertainty is life.
Yeah.
Right. I believe that if you don't have uncertainty, you're not living.
Sure.
Right. If everything was certain, then what's the point? It's kind of like, I would relate this to going down a 4-lane highway that's on a flat geographic location, no trees, no scenery on the side of the road, just flat. You go one speed, you can go just that 100 miles an hour, no cars in the way, no nothing. You're driving down that, and how boring that would get after a while. Right. And so versus a windy road, a hilly road, starts and stops. As much people hate traffic, that traffic is a good thing in a way sometimes, because it gives variety. It gives, you know, randomness. Life is about randomness. It's about uncertainty. And so if you shift your focus or your perception of things and say, you know what, I love uncertainty. Uncertainty is exciting. When I wake up in the morning, Dan, you and I connected, I think, on Instagram, and I have a process I use, a system I use for reach out, not spamming people, but to genuinely connect. And I wake up in the morning, I'm like, man, I'm so excited about who I'm going to meet today. I have no idea it's on my calendar, but I don't know the people, a lot of strangers. I'm so excited. You know, it takes one person to change your life. So I'm like, uncertainty is great. Now, I also know that I have this thing that goes through my mind, and anybody that's an entrepreneur probably has this, where it's like, I also have uncertainty where our next customer's coming from, our next client, right? And so, like, this weekend, I'm thinking, and again, I'm human. I have the same thoughts everybody else probably. Thought comes through my head, and I gotta handle this, right? It says, what if we don't get a customer for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or a couple months? Like, what would happen?
Yeah.
And then I gotta get rid of that thought. And how do I get rid of that thought?
Yeah. Right.
I know that I'm gonna take enough action to make it happen. Okay. All right. So that's the way I look at it. I'm not gonna let that happen. So I start switching thought, and I'm like, what if we had a record week?
Right.
Like, what if we had the best week we've ever had? Like, what would that feel like?
See,
and then I start using that feeling and bathing in that feeling.
It's so well said, right? And I've been asking you a couple questions to really poke at, okay, what's the magic pill? Like, what's the thing that you do? But really, what you do, and not to belittle it, but is no different than any other luminary and great person in the world, which is embracing uncertainty, which is embracing your fears. Right. And having the courage and the faith to say, I think this is going to work out. And even if it doesn't, I have a certain amount of faith that I can figure something out.
I don't that way. I don't even go there. I don't think it's going to work out. And even if it doesn't, I just always tell myself everything always works out for me. And I know that I've studied quantum physics and quantum resonance. I understand how energy works and frequency. Okay, these are real things. Some people think it's woo-woo stuff and only spiritual healers and witches and all this other stuff. It's nothing to do with that. It's a fact, okay, that there's frequency, and I understand higher frequency. At higher frequency levels, things always work out because they only connect with higher frequency through quantum resonance, through resonance. And so I know that, and I know that's a fact. I've studied it, so I don't allow myself to get down for long. Acutely, I might get upset or something, but over a chronic sounds like a bad word, but chronic means over a long period of time, which what you are the most of the time. I keep my emotional tone up high because I know at that thing, it draws in things that are going to be great.
Exactly.
And so that's what I focus on. And I don't think about like, what if this doesn't work? I think about the fact that it's going to work. It's always going to work out for me, no matter what, even if it's the way, like, something might not go the way you expect it to. Right. But so again, I'm a firm believer in God, and I believe that we were put here for like with a purpose and a reason. And I just trust that it's going to work out. And if it's not my plan, not the way I thought it was going to go, it's always better.
Yeah. And doing new things, stepping into uncertainty, taking risks, always do in a forward direction. And I've studied successful people all of her professional life, and every massively successful person has always had failures, or has always had setbacks, or things happen not in the way that they intended, but it's always a forward moving enterprise. And I think part of what I'm hearing with you is this is a word that's in your bio, and I love it: contagious passion. Right? Tell us about contagious. So first of all, would you say that's something natural in you, or did you develop it for yourself?
Well, by the way, failure for me is I fail all the time at everything I do because I always have certain expectations and I never reach them. So that's clearly okay.
Yeah.
But I'm gathering data every time I try something. I gather data to use for the next try, and I keep coming back stronger and better and smarter and faster. And eventually I get further, and it keeps pushing that thing. Now, real quick, before I answer the other question you have, our potential is not a static thing. Our potential always moves away from us. Because as we get better, that potential goes further. But what happens, my job is not to get to the potential level. My job is to push that level up and keep pushing it up higher and higher and higher to see how far I could take this thing. Now, the other question you had was about contagious emotions or passion. I know this is one of my core values. Vibes matter and emotions are contagious. So I know that. That's a fact to me. That's a truth to me. So I just know that everybody I come in contact with or I'm going to be around, I'm going to elevate. It's a fact. They can't not, because it's my intention. And then my intention is what I pay attention to. And my pay attention to things, it validates it, which creates existence. So I know that that's the case. I also know that I can bring people down if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I've been there in the past where I've been that kind of person. You walk in a room and you can, it's like the thermostat, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the part of it. And then how have I always been like this? I've always been contagious. I haven't always been the best person. So I say this one thing all the time, that, any problem I've ever had in my life is because I surrounded myself with the wrong people. Sometimes those people, one of them was me. I've been the wrong person to be around at times in my life in the past.
And in order to be a leader, in order to truly have the fulfillment, that's the internal work that you have to do. What I hear you doing and saying is that you assessed your life as the creator of your life, or as the creator of the experiences, rather than saying, oh, it was these other things that caused the problem, not me. And that's one of the hardest things that most people struggle with, is recognizing that they are the common denominator in everything that they like and everything that they don't like.
Yeah. I really believe that a lot of people don't believe in God because they don't want to take that responsibility. See, God created us in his image. Okay. All religions agree to this. I mean, it's like God created us in his image. Now, if that's the case, then he also created us in his image, he's a creator. Well, we're put here to create. If you ride down the road in a city, I did this the other day. I'm riding out Arizona, Scottsdale, and I'm looking at some of the architecture, right? That Southwestern architecture. And I'm looking at it, and a lot of it's influenced by, Spanish, old Spanish architecture. I'm driving, I'm looking, and I'm like, you know what? It's crazy about this. None of this stuff would be here if human beings weren't here. Human beings, if they didn't have imagination, none of this stuff would be here. So it starts here. We actually create from imagination. And so I started realizing that, and I'm like, well, shoot, we can create whatever we want to the degree that we don't limit ourselves. So I firmly believe that we're built to be creators. We also are built to change things. We're also built to destroy things. And that's a cycle, if you notice. Create, change, destroy. Create, change, destroy. We're here to go through cycles and execute those. And by the way, if you're a creator and you can create things, that's great. But if you aren't able to change things, you're not adaptable. And if you're not able to destroy things or stop things, okay, then you're going to have problems as well, because that's why a lot of entrepreneurs, since this is a badass entrepreneur show, a lot of us badass entrepreneurs start too many things, and if we're unable to change, we can't pivot. And if we're unable to destroy or stop, then we don't know how to shut things down that aren't making us money or costing us things that are become liabilities to us. See how this all ties in? So, yeah, I forget what the question was. I hope I answered it.
No, this isn't an interview show. It's a conversation, right? Because that is how most things evolve, right? You converse with yourself, you converse with other people, you grow and you learn. The last thing I want to talk with you about today is culture and leadership, because the ultimate expression of being an entrepreneur is inspiring other people. And that's through your leadership. And your leadership is about creating a culture, people in your tribe, in your world, in your company that are singularly focused, or at least focused in the same direction. What are your thoughts and direction on culture and leadership?
Well, I mean, I've done it all. I've been really bad at it. I've been non-existent with it. I've been overly bearing and hard with it. So I've done the thing where I went at it, gathered data and failed, went back at it with the new data, did it a little bit better, but still failed over and over and over again. Right. So I think it really establishing a direction of where people are going. A group of people need to understand a direction where they're going. They need to be in alignment. So a company needs to be in alignment, not just with the company's direction and mission and values, but also the employees that are there. They have to understand their job description and where they're going, but they also have to make sure it aligns with them personally, their family. And it seems like a lot of work, but it's really not. It's all about setting expectations properly and proper communication. And once you get everybody aligned and on the same page, you become unstoppable. But what you can't have is you cannot have salmon swimming upstream on you. Because it interrupts the flow and then it turbulates things instead of free flowing. So leadership to me is putting out a vision, making sure that you understand understand how to identify liabilities and assets in the company. Yeah. And being able to execute on getting rid of liabilities. And long as you have everybody's thoughts, words, actions, and the environment that they're keeping in alignment, you're going to do pretty good in the company.
Nice. And let's talk about your company for a minute, That One brand and agency.
Yeah. So I was in the mortgage industry, and when I decided to start playing a bigger game and identified what I really wanted to do with my life, it took me 40 some years to do that, what I wanted to be when I grow up. I started thinking about, like, I have a unique ability to elevate people emotionally, with their capabilities. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I'm playing too small of a game and I'm not reaching. I feel like the best kept secret. I know some of you listening may feel the same way. Like, I feel like the best kept secret. And I started to identify the fact that I needed to get known, because if I got known, I would create an attraction model versus a chase model, Dan, where like most of us are chasing business, chasing customers, chasing employees, chasing women back in the day. I don't know about it now, but I used to. And so I was like, well, how much easier would life be if you had an attraction model? You're pulling people into you. And so I knew that if I did that, or if I got known, that's what would happen. And what I mean by get known is, like, people that matter in my brand and my business know who I am. I become omnipresent to them. I'm all around. They see me everywhere. If they go to an event, they run into me. They're on social media on a different platform, they run into me. I'm in their face, email, whatever. They know who I am, what I do. And I'm keeping them in the loop of everything. So when I decided that, podcasting fell in my lap. Some guy invited me on his show. I didn't have any idea what a podcast was 5 years ago. And while I was on this show, I realized the power of podcasting and it became the most efficient and effective marketing tool in my eyes. Number one, I felt confident when somebody was interviewing me. Anybody that goes on a show, you start somebody interview, your confidence goes up. Yeah. And when other people see that you're being interviewed by multiple different people, your credibility and authority go through the roof, because they're like, well, this guy must be important. People want to interview. And then you have the content that you're producing. That content can be repurposed and then stuck out on social media, on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, in front of the people that matter in your business, and you can become omnipresent to them. I just saw all these different things, and I was like, you know what? That's becoming that one in your industry. And so I created That One brand. And as I did this over the last 4 to 5 years, I've been on over 900 podcasts in the last 4 to 5 years. I've had over 600 episodes of my own show, the What Are You Made Of show. And in doing that, I documented everything I did. And I said, you know what? I can do this for other people. I'm going to continue to grow and become known by more and more people and influence more. But while I'm doing it, I already have a system in place. I might as well show other people how to do it and help them do it.
Right.
So that's why we created That One Agency. We help people get on top ranked shows as guests. We help them leverage that attention, and we teach them what to do and how to do it, content reproduction, strategic Instagram and social media growth. And we're getting into more and more things now in regards to events and creating a mastermind group. We have a lot of things on the docket, but this brand is exploding. We have a merch line. It's exploding because people all want to be that one, whether they admit it or not.
Brilliant. So how can people get in touch with you?
Instagram is the best way. Mikey CRoc, Mikey CRoc is the best way. I answer my DMs. I'm very, very active in my Instagram DMs. This is where I connect with people. And if you just go to Instagram at Mikey CRoc, or you can Google me. I'm all over the place, easy to contact. My cell phone number's out on the internet somewhere. But mainly, if anybody wants help, I want to help you. Just know that. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. That's the only way to get to where you're going is you're going to need help.
Yeah. Nothing great ever happened alone. So final word, to the person listening right now, struggling, wanting to achieve more, wanting really to step into it and take advantage of their God-given gifts. What's it that you have for?
Well, I think, really understanding, this is a really important concept, is understand who you are. Stop identifying with what you do and identify who you actually are. Peel back the layers. What are your non-negotiables? What are your core values? And then here's the thing. The things that you've been identifying with are your job, your profession or whatever, your husband, father, whatever, mother. You need to stop identifying as those and look at those as your vehicles to get to the mission or the destination that your mission is set out for. And once you do that, you can interchange businesses, you can interchange different things because you're always going to be who you are and you establish your brand with who you are. And then you can take that wherever you want to go.
Beautiful. CRoc, thank you so much for being on for Badass Entrepreneurs Only. It's been a real pleasure. I mean, I love what you shared. I love the direction that you go and the focus of being your greatest. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have a unique opportunity to be that. When it's right, when our mission, who we are, when our businesses are all aligned, something really beautiful happens. And I see you doing that. And I see you helping other people do that. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this message with my audience.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you having me. And let me just say one more thing. If anything prior to this show that you're hearing right now, if you've not been striving to be the best person you could be, see how far you could take it, I'm going to give you a pass. But shame on you if you go forward after hearing this podcast and not strive to be the best version of yourself and accomplish and see how far you can take that thing. Shame on you. I'll leave you with that.
I'll second that. Thank you, Mike. Be well, brother.
Thanks, Dan.
Hey, one last thing. If you're feeling stuck in business life, wherever, download my book, Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action. In this book, you'll see how the stories that you tell yourself are stopping yourself from living your greatest life. Just text the word GAP, G-A-P, to this number, 213-409-8366. 213-409-8366, and text the word GAP. It's a short read, it's fun, it's easy, and if you hate reading like I do, you can grab the audiobook. It's at that same link. Just text the word GAP, G-A-P, to 213-409-8366. You'll love it. All right, that's it. Go out there and be badass today.